Good evening, everyone, and welcome to our city. We are here in the mayor's office at the Muscatine City Hall, February 19 of 19. And can you get a load of the weather that we're having? We have had nothing but snow days. We've had to cancel our city twice. Schools are unending with late starts and early outs and cancellations, but spring will eventually come. In the meantime, I had a cute little picture to show you. Some people like the snow days. That would be like my granddaughter and my nieces. And so we have a little picture here of the last snow day. They got to go ice skating, and so they didn't mind it at all, even though the rest of us were all really not so happy to have a snow day. But oh well, they got to go ice skating and have fun. So hopefully we don't have another one of those tomorrow, but maybe. Next, I wanted to just thank the Muscatine Police and Fire Department for playing with the basketball game with Special Olympics last week. We took our very first ever Our City show on the road and videotaped out there at the Muscatine High School the game between the Fire and Police and Special Olympics. And thanks to the Fire and Police for playing and losing the game to Special Olympics. But it was a really fun evening. Everybody had a great time. I know they've been doing this for years and years, and everyone just loves it. The athletes love it, and certainly the fire and police love it, and the families get a chance to come out. It was a great time, and thank you to everybody involved for putting it together, and the high school for letting us go there and videotape. So you never know, we might be doing a couple of more shows on the road, because that really was a gob of fun. I want to get as quickly as we can to our first guest. Mike Hartman. He is the Assistant Chief, or let me say this, I'm looking for the initials. Assistant Fire Chief for the Muscatine Fire Department. He's also the Chief Fire Officer and the Fire Marshal. Did I get that right? There's a whole gob there. Thank you, and welcome for coming.
Well, thank you.
Thank you so much. So, Chief Fire Officer and Fire Marshal.
Right.
What are each of those things?
So what there's this organization called the Center for Public Safety Excellence.
Okay.
And that's the organization that basically has set the national standards for accreditation of fire departments.
Okay.
So if you see an accredited fire department, they have their little symbol on it.
Sure.
Those kind of things. What this center did, what this agency did, is they decided that above and beyond certifying fire departments or accrediting fire departments, they needed to recognize individuals in those fire departments or give them an opportunity to become professionally designated.
Okay.
And with that, they developed an entire system, if you will. They started off with what they call the Chief Fire Officer designation.
Okay.
And that's a professional credentialing, and it was originally set up for fire chiefs, the number one person on the fire department. And they expanded that to other chief officers.
Okay.
So depending on your organization, you'll have a fire chief, you may have an assistant chief rank, or deputy chief, a division chief, or a battalion chief.
All right.
So large fire departments have many different layers. In Muscatine, we have three. We have battalion chief, the assistant chief, and the chief.
And the chief.
So those individuals, if they meet certain criteria, can be designated as a chief fire officer.
Okay. And did you just get that one, or did you already have that one?
Actually, I got both of them at the same time.
You did?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. So that designation, actually, Chief Evers obtained that, I believe, probably 6 or 8 years ago. It's been quite some time.
All right.
And since that time, he's kind of suggested maybe I need to think about doing this. And,
Sure.
And I took a look at all the work, and I thought, well, I'll
Oh my goodness, yes. Overwhelming, I'm sure. Because there's got to be quite a bit of credentials and hoops to jump through to be able to qualify for this designation.
Yep, and with the Chief Fire Officer designation is probably one of the most complex that they offer.
Okay.
They offer not only the Chief Fire Officer, but they have the Fire Marshal.
Sure.
So we'll talk about that in a little bit. They also have what they call the Chief EMS Officer, and they have a Training Officer, and then they also have one for, if you will, junior level officers. So
Okay.
those who are not chief officers, in our organization be like captain.
Okay.
Captain or lieutenant.
Mm-hmm.
So they have different criteria, each one of those levels. So the chief fire officer, each one of their designations has, I think, 7 different areas they look at.
Mm-hmm.
So one is your education,
Okay.
another one is experience, another one is professional development, which would be like your ongoing training.
CEUs, different things
Yep.
like that, sure.
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
Also professional recognitions and contributions,
Mm-hmm.
and then professional memberships and affiliations, and then what they call technical competencies. I'll come back to that in just a second.
Mm-hmm.
And community involvement. So the technical competence is the one that's pretty massive for the chief fire officer.
Different things that you have excelled at and can do.
Right, and that's really what it is.
Okay.
Is they kind of sat down and said, if you're a chief fire officer, what kind of things do you need to know to be an effective?
You got to know this.
Yes, so
Yes.
you're talking budgeting, you're talking leadership,
Mhm.
management, personnel,
Oh, yeah.
there are actually 20 different technical competencies for
Okay.
that level.
And you have to show excellence at every one of those.
Yes. Yep.
Wow.
Yep. You have to meet the standards with all that.
So was there a start and a finish to this? I mean, I know there was a finish, but did you start working on this a year ago, 2 years ago, or has it been something you've just been gradually putting together your packet?
Right. I have started several different times.
Okay.
But I finally sat down and just spent, it's probably about 2 months.
Putting it
actually
all
getting
together.
everything together.
Sure.
Because it's, quite honestly, I have my real job I have to do. So there were
Well,
a
yeah.
lot of times that I couldn't do this during the day. I'd have to do it in the evening or
Sure.
something like that, because that's the way things are.
Yep.
you know.
That's right.
So it took a while. I was very fortunate in a lot of things. I've taken advantage of education, for example.
Mm-hmm.
I've taken opportunities, taken advantage of what opportunities I've been given. So
Sure. That's
I
great.
was actually able to. I actually have my master's degree
Mm-hmm.
in fire administration.
It's amazing.
So I did that a few years ago. So
Sure.
that really helped check off the
Oh,
the
yeah.
checklist for
You
the
betcha.
education. I'm also a graduate of the Executive Fire Officer Program, which
Uh-huh.
is it's a 4-year, and you can think of it as a 4-year postgraduate certificate program through the National Fire
4
Academy.
year.
Yes.
Wow.
Yep. So you have to go back every year. You have
Uh-huh.
2 weeks on campus, and then you have research papers and all
Mhm.
those kind of things you have to do. So it's the executive fire officer is another big ticket item in the
Oh, I
fire
bet.
service, if you want to think of it that way.
Sure.
So they also look at that as being part of the education
Uh-huh.
as well. The experience part, it just kinda
You've been on the
comes,
job how many years?
24.
24 here in Muscatine, and you were somewhere before for a little while, weren't you, as a EMS?
Volunteer EMS.
Okay.
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
Yep, a little bit of this, a little bit of that.
Wow.
But, yeah, 24
So-
years here, and a fire officer, a chief officer for, I believe, about 9 years now.
Wow.
So,
Excellent. We're lucky to have you.
well, I'm lucky to be here.
Oh. It's a win-win.
Yes.
So tell us about fire marshal. So what is that?
So the fire marshal is a similar designation. What they
Mhm.
did, they started off with the chief fire officer, and then they
Mhm.
said, what other key leadership positions are there in a fire department that we should allow this credentialing for?
Uh-huh.
And the fire marshal, basically it's a very similar process as far as the 7 different areas.
Mm-hmm.
The technical competencies, there's a lot fewer. There's 7, but they are more on the end of code enforcement, understanding codes, being able to look at plans for sprinkler systems, fire alarms, that kind of
Sure,
stuff.
sure.
There's also the fire investigation, which a lot of people, when they hear fire marshal, they don't think fire investigation, but that's a big part of the job. Fire prevention with our inspection program and public education, just a whole ball of things that you have to go
Okay.
through with that.
Mm-hmm.
So the thing about the fire marshal designation, it's another one. It's not as well known as a chief fire officer.
Okay.
I looked earlier today, and they've accredited about 1,300 chief fire officer designations,
Mm-hmm.
but there are only about 150.
Quite a bit
fire
fewer.
marshals.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
And as far as I know, the only other fire marshal designated fire marshal in Iowa is Steve Dunham out of Cedar Rapids.
Really?
Yeah.
So just the two of you?
Yep. So again, it's one of those things. It's kind of above and beyond.
Sure.
You know, every day I go in and I fight fires. It's a lot different than when I was a firefighter and I fought real fires.
Right.
More things pop up here or there.
Oh, sure,
Some
sure.
days there are bigger fires than others, but I go in and fight the fires. So a lot of times you don't have time to really kind of focus on things like the designations. You
Right.
have to, it takes a while sometimes.
Sure it does. Well, I think it's just amazing that you were able to get both of those. And what they say, like only about 100 people nationwide have both of those?
Right, and if you think about it, it kind of makes sense. A lot of fire marshals are also chief level positions,
Uh-huh.
but there are a lot of fire marshals like Mr. Dunham in
Uh-huh.
Cedar Rapids. He's a captain level, so he
Oh.
wouldn't be able to be
He couldn't be chief fire officer because he's not at that level.
right.
Okay.
And quite honestly, it takes a certain kind of individual to say, yes, I want this and this.
Sure.
I want to go through it twice because going through it once is enough
I bet.
for most people. That's it.
Do you have to do, so how long does the credentialing last? About 3 years?
Yep, it's a 3-year credential.
And then what do you have to do at the end of the 3 years?
Basically you go through a re-credentialing process.
Hopefully shorter?
Yeah, a little bit shorter, but one aspect of the entire process, the application, includes basically a plan of action. So what are you going to do? Name 2 or 3 things that you're going to do to make an impact on your community, on your department.
That's
on fire
great.
service as a whole. And that's kind of the trick. Is I'm a little scared about
Sure.
2 years out from here, taking a look back and saying, oh, gee, I did what I was supposed to, or got to work on it.
Exactly.
So that's one of those things, and I'm sure a lot of people have been through it before, where you come up with your goals, and sometimes your goals at the time they're pretty lofty, and give me
And
a couple
that-
of years, and I'll be yelling at myself for picking too high a goal.
Exactly. And the time comes around. So I mean, I got got my program credentialed through Family Support Credentials,
Mhm.
and it's a 5-year credentialing. And so you're thinking, oh right, I'm all done with this 5 years.
Right.
And then I get a letter in the mail saying it's time to renew your. And I'm, are you kidding me? And now you got to go start all over. But luckily, like you say, the reapplication, the recertification might not be as difficult.
Right. Well, and
But
fortunately,
it'll
I've
come
kind
around
of-
fast.
Yes, I've kind of planned
Yes.
things out. A lot of it is, a few steps here, a few steps there. One big focus in the fire services is safety.
Sure.
And one of the things that I wrote for my plans on that is to basically expand our safety aspect on the fire department and try to integrate some of the things that the city safety team
Mm-hmm.
does. Well, fortunately, I'm on the city safety committee, so I'm able to, that kind of keeps me
Negotiate
on
that and keep that moving forward. Sure, sure. Oh, that's great. And it's great that you already have picked what your goals are going to be, and you can be mindful of them as you're working towards that.
Yes, I think I may have to put them up on my desk.
Yes, right. Tape them right on the front there. Sure.
Yeah.
Well, and it's amazing how all of the different safety things that there are out there for communities and different even individuals to work towards. Fire is one of the areas that they work so hard on prevention. And it'd be great if we could do that with all areas, but I think fire is the one that has really excelled
Well,
at
that's-
working to putting their own selves out of business
Right.
by prevention and teaching people those safety pieces.
Well, and that's the challenge because, times are tight, times are always tight.
Right.
So you have to take a look at it and you have to be able to justify where we spend our
Sure.
resources. And fire prevention is very difficult because how do you measure a fire that didn't happen?
Exactly.
And how do you measure a life that was saved because we went into the schools and did some public education?
It's hard to get
It's difficult.
that data to
Yes.
prove. Sure.
Yeah. But
It
it's
is.
one of those things, and a lot of times, especially with the new firefighters, they'll come on and they'll kind of grumble about fire inspections
Uh-huh.
and code enforcement and all that kind of stuff. They're going to put us out of a job. Well, the fact of the matter is, one of the little quips that we have in the fire service, 3 main causes of fires are men, women, and children. You still have that human factor.
Sure.
And the more we work on codes, the safer we become, but getting to the point where you have 0 fires is probably on
Never
the
going to
list.
happen, but
Right, but decreasing the effect
decreasing.
of that fire
That's right.
and making life a little bit safer, not only for the citizens or somebody who lives in the home,
Mm-hmm.
but also, for our firefighters.
Keeping them
and
safe.
Many times, the firefighters don't think about that aspect of
Mhm.
it. It's very, taking a look at the industry as a whole over the years, it's challenging. I don't want to say scary, but it's kind of amazing how fire has changed,
Mhm.
even in my career.
Mm-hmm.
Because the things that burn today burn so much hotter, so much quicker, and it leads to flash over and some of these horrible events
Mhm.
so much quicker than they ever did before.
You got all the plastics and things that they didn't
Yes.
used to have.
Yes, and that
And so
makes
much more
time
of it.
even more critical
Sure.
than what we had before. An example is if you had a fire in a room 30 years ago, it took about 15 minutes for the room to become flashed over, or
Mhm.
basically the entire thing on fire. Today, with the synthetics we have, and there's synthetics everywhere, but the big comfy couches, all those kind of things,
Sure.
you can hit that in 3 to 5 minutes.
Oh my goodness,
So when
quite
you
a
look at our
difference.
response time and all those kind of things, you can see how it's such a challenge for us.
Oh, sure, sure. I'm just amazed at how much time and effort is put into prevention and how much more we still need.
Oh, yes.
I mean, continual. I mean, you still find, and you still hear on the news of fires that happened and there was no smoke alarm, or they weren't working, I know you guys work with, and I've helped out a little bit with the Red Cross and them trying to get the smoke alarms and even the CO2, but certainly the smoke alarms in all of the homes, and getting those scheduled, and getting the ones in with the hardwired batteries in there for
Right.
10 years,
Yep.
so that we don't have to worry about them borrowing a battery, to use it for something else.
And that's a start. But again, fire has changed so much. It's
Yes.
so much more of an issue than it ever was before. That's why
Mhm.
you have to start looking at sprinklers.
Yeah.
Having a sprinkler in your house is like having a firefighter sitting in your living room.
Oh, sure.
Except it doesn't eat as much food as a firefighter.
There you go. And really the work that you do in the school system. I mean, we had Sig Hoppy's grandson
Mhm.
just a year or two ago that saved his or it was last year,
Yeah.
saved his grandma, who might not have seen or noticed what was happening, and
Right.
and knew what to do and got her out safely. And those are all things that can be attributed back to the safety
Yes.
programs that you guys do in the schools.
We've had a handful of those throughout the years, but yes, we do have one shift that is one of their main focuses, and it is critical.
It is.
Again, I can't tell you how many percentage or
No.
anything like
No.
that, but there are anecdotal stories that really underscore.
Yes, and I know Red Cross even had some of a family that just had one of those smoke alarms put into their house,
Mhm.
and then had a fire,
Yep.
and they were saved. So they are there, but I think most people just know they help.
Yes.
They help all of us, just being mindful of it, and prevention. But
Exactly.
for you to be able to stay so up to date on all of these new changes as they come on, and how to react appropriately, and keeping out in the forefront on all the training, that's so important to our community, to have you on the force with all of that critical information,
It's all part of the job.
all benefiting us. And we don't always have to think about it, because you're doing it for us.
And I do what I can.
Yes, well, we appreciate it. Hey, congratulations. We're so thankful and proud, to have you here in our community with this dual designation. And hey, we joined Cedar Rapids for the state of Iowa now, right?
Yep.
All right.
Sorry.
Hey, I know you've got a place to go, so we won't keep you any longer. Anything that I missed asking, or anything that you wanted to?
Nothing I can
Highlight,
think of.
all
I
right.
said tomorrow morning maybe, but.
There, oh, I know,
not.
always, always. I do it all the time. Thanks so much for coming.
Absolutely.
We appreciate it. All right.
Thank you.
Well, as we get ready to segue to our next guest, I just wanted to talk to you a little bit about the Lifesaver Award that we recently did for Officer Ben Varela. last Thursday night, well, actually not last Thursday night, last Thursday night we had a 2.5-minute city council meeting because we just had to approve a couple of public meetings, and so we got those scheduled. But the Thursday before that, I was able to give the Lifesaver Award to Officer Ben Varela, who arrived at a scene here in Muscatine and recognized that a lady needed CPR and was able to revive her and save her life. And it was wonderful. I know this is his family here. They were so proud to be there. And we are all so proud of Officer Varela. I had the honor of swearing him in just a couple of years ago when he joined the Muscatine Police Department. What a wonderful person and officer he is. And I also wanted to give a shout out to the rest of the team. You know, we had behind the scenes people working on saving this lady's life as well, with our dispatchers, helping, and all the rest of the team that joined in to help save her. We're so fortunate here in Muscatine. I mean, as we just got done talking to Mike Hartman and him sharing, how long the response time to get there and help us with whether we have a need for the police department or the fire department. I mean, it is minutes, very, very few minutes that they are there on the scene to help us, and just how wonderful for us to be able to feel safe and knowing that they have our backs. We can call 911 in 2-3 minutes. They're right there to help us with whatever we need. It's amazing, and we're very, very lucky to have them. And I was so honored to be able to give that award to Officer Varela. Let's see. I think we are going to save the rest of our Save the Dates for the end of the show and welcome our next guest, which is Mary Darnell, and she's with the Salvation Army of Muscatine, Iowa, and she teaches the Pathway to Hope program. Welcome, Mary. Hey, thank you so much for coming. You know what, we got a snowstorm coming, but not for a couple hours.
Right.
So hopefully you and I can both get done talking and get home and get our pajamas on and get in the recliner before that snow starts falling. That's the plan, Mary.
I'm for it.
Oh, yeah. So you're doing the Pathway to Hope program down at the Salvation Army. Now, I was sharing with Assistant Chief Hartman here just a little bit ago, a little bit about what that means. And what I think it means is it's a program to help folks become self-sufficient.
Right.
Is that correct?
Yes.
I know there's way more to it than that. How do you describe it to people,
I
Mary?
describe it that it's families that normally the first ones we get are the ones in crisis already.
Sure. So they need a place to live, or their utilities are getting shut off, or something like that.
Right.
Okay.
So it's for families with children under the age of 18.
Okay.
But we broaden it out and even take individuals, because individuals are the same way.
Sure. They still need help, whether
Right,
they have
get in a
kids or
bind.
not.
Right,
Yeah.
they get in
Yeah.
a bind and just don't know which way to go.
Sure.
So we just sit there and converse with them,
Uh-huh.
and we look at their past, their present, and what their goals are. What do they want to see in 5 to 10 years?
Okay.
And with that, we just kind of just go ahead and set goals with them. They're the ones that set the goals.
I love it. It's their choices.
Their choices.
That's
Yeah,
great.
Sometimes they get stuck because they're like, they've never been asked.
Well, yeah.
What do you mean
want?
goals?
Yeah, sure.
And so we sit there and we find out what the goals are with them, and I find the resources for them. So
Okay.
I do the legwork for them. And then how I take it is for them to be self-sufficient and get on their own. And then that way, if they do have children, that their children don't think that this is how they're supposed to live.
So try to break that cycle.
Break that cycle.
That's great.
Yeah.
I love the program.
Yeah.
I've heard a couple of presentations on it. I just think it's wonderful.
Yeah.
And if we could have all of us, go through a program to really teach us how to set those goals.
Oh, exactly.
And I love how you bring in the past too.
Mm-hmm.
So what brought you to this place? So here you are, and and maybe your rent's not paid, and you don't have a job, or you do have a job, but your money's all gone, and your bills still aren't paid, and so what brought you to here? Because
Right.
that sometimes that can help. Maybe it was an illness,
Right.
or maybe
exactly.
it was something catastrophic that happened,
Exactly.
or a death in the family, and so maybe that won't be repeated, and
Right.
that'll be a different outcome then, right?
Exactly.
But if it's making bad choices or not knowing the right choices to make, then I suppose you would teach them something different.
Yeah,
then.
yeah. If it's like making the poor choices, or we actually, I'm one of these family people, so I'm more like, once you walk through that door, and you're family. That's
You're
it.
one of us.
Yep, you're one of us.
That's right.
So it doesn't just boil down to me. It's our whole core. It's our pastors. It's our volunteers. Even Sissy, that is our social service worker. It all takes all of us
Oh, sure. It
as a
does.
team to help anyone.
Yep.
So
Gather round and support and lift them up.
exactly, and that's what they
right.
need. They need
Yes.
encouragement and everything. I kind of discuss, and usually they start to know how things work after I start telling them my story
Sure.
and everything. So they know, oh, you've been there, you know how it is. I mean, I was
Yeah.
a single mom before,
Sure.
and I didn't know about these resources.
Right. Right.
None at all. The
Uh-huh.
only one I knew about was Salvation Army.
There you go.
And so I thought, okay, well, I'll try Salvation Army. They provided me with food. And then I didn't know about all these other resources
Sure.
that are out
Lots
there.
of people don't.
Mm-mm, not at all. So when they come in and they sit down, I'll go, okay, well, let's work on this. And I know this place. And if it's your rent, let's try this person. MCSA, let's try all these resources I have.
Yeah.
I'll do the work. I'll call you back, let you know what I find out. And it's been wonderful with the individuals and families that we have. So
Well, I bet it's hard work, but I bet it's so rewarding, Mary.
it's very rewarding.
It's got to be so comforting to see someone be able to see growth
Exactly.
in their outlook, even.
Mhm. Especially when you see that they haven't had a home, they were homeless, they were in a shelter,
Sure.
and to see where they're at now, and they have jobs, they have a roof over their head, they have their own place, they're paying their bills on time. I
Yes.
mean, I rarely see them.
Yeah.
And I go, okay, you forget me?
Yes. But now they can actually be a guiding light for
Somebody
others.
else. Yes.
Yes.
Very much so.
And I bet they do want to give back too.
Oh,
after
yeah,
they
definitely.
see. Yes.
Definitely, yeah.
And I bet it's, I do a grandparents raising grandchildren group, and a lot of times people ask me, well, why are they raising their grandparents? And it's, a variety of things. Could be a death, could be jail, could be drugs, could be all kinds of things.
Exactly.
Good, through no fault of anyone's or through fault. I bet it's the same way for you.
Yes.
I bet you have people that come in this situation for a variety of reasons.
Oh, yeah.
So you must have to have several different paths
Right.
to help them
Yeah.
be able to move forward.
Exactly. But we kind of look at their daily living, their financial, their education. There's spiritual
Sure.
and family finances, I think. I
Yeah.
don't know if I said that. So I look at all of them, and that's where we look at the past and the present and what they like to see.
Sure, where they want to go from here.
Yeah, exactly. And you'll never know until you sit with them and really know what's deep down
And get to
inside
know them. So you're not just
Exactly.
saying, what do you need, and here you go.
Exactly.
You're actually coming alongside them.
Yeah, I walk along with them. Like, for example, I've had a client that we took care of, and she just needed to talk. That's all
Sure.
she needed to do was just talk. And so I stayed there for as long as she needed to talk. I was going to stay there, and that's what I want them to know is
Sure.
that I'm going to be with you. If you want to take 2 hours, we'll take 2 hours.
Mhm.
You want to take 15 minutes, we'll take 15 minutes. Whatever you need to get off your shoulders, I'll listen.
Sure.
So,
And don't we all need that?
oh yeah.
I think sometimes we we get so bogged down in all the different things that we're doing that we don't recognize that everybody has those same wants and desires.
Exactly.
They might be, living in the homeless shelter or, sleeping on somebody's couch, but they have the same goals and desires
Exactly.
that we all do.
Exactly.
And
I
maybe
think
some of
it's-
us have had better chances than they did.
Exactly, and that's just so wonderful, is the community working together as
Yes.
a team. So getting out what Pathway of Hope is all about
Uh-huh.
is to work with other communities, with MCSA, with even MCC. Of course, community action if they're in a crisis with their utilities
Sure.
or anything like that. But when it comes to like utilities, okay, so you've had the assistance here.
Uh-huh.
So let's figure out your bills. Why are you having difficulty paying them? Is
Yeah.
it because you're not getting enough hours? Well, let's see what we can do, And,
Sure.
And I'm just such a mother hen. So I become like their mom, I guess.
Oh, sure.
And so I just end up I'll call jobs myself.
Yeah.
Or one client, she came into my office, didn't have a computer. I said, okay, come on, we're going to get you on. You're going to apply for a job online. I would assist her on certain things that she didn't understand. She had an interview 2 days later, and she got hired, and she's still at that job.
Oh, my goodness.
So
That must warm your heart.
it warms my heart, and just to see the smile on her face and how happy she is,
Yes.
and everything. I mean, that's
Sure.
everything.
Sure it
I mean,
is.
and it's not my work. It's
Uh-huh.
and they'll always say, "Oh, you did it." No, I didn't do it. You did it.
That's right.
That's what you need to see. You did it.
Yep.
I just gave you a head start. Here's
That's
the
right.
resource.
That's
but
right.
You took it. You went
Yeah.
off and did what you have to do. So I think that's just amazing on what the clients have been doing.
Oh, sure. I'm sure you guys work on priorities.
Yes.
Priorities are something that I know we've worked with our teen parent group on
Mhm.
priorities, and it's so hard, I think, sometimes for people to wrap their head around it.
Mhm.
Because you come out of your home with your parents and you have a house and a car and cable TV and your phone. Well, when you go out on your own, you don't get all those things right.
Right.
Your parents didn't get it all right at the beginning either.
Right.
They had to, live in a one-bedroom apartment and build up to this, but you didn't see that part.
Exactly.
So sometimes it's hard to see where, what's a priority, and maybe some of these other things aren't.
Right. And I think that's where the families are coming in and just not knowing, well, I can't afford this. Well, that's right. Well,
Yep.
that's all right. Just put it off to the side. One day you will.
Yes.
And it's just seeing that, being able to help them prioritize,
Yes.
It's got to be your rent first. It's got to be your utilities.
Right.
All that kind of stuff. And then let's see what we got left over.
Sure.
If you're having difficulty food-wise, well, let me show you. We've got a food pantry.
Yep.
We can assist you there. There's other food pantries here in Muscatine.
Mhm.
But let's see what we can make dinner. Let's see what kind of recipes we can come up with.
That's great.
Those kind of things.
Sure.
And everything. I'm just coming up with, we're having a meeting with Chad
Uh-huh.
for financing,
Okay.
for a budget, to have
Sure.
so, because some of the clients have difficulty budgeting.
Well, yeah.
And so we're trying to get a meeting going so we can plan a class for
And
our
teach
clients.
budgeting.
Yeah, and
Isn't
opening
that
it
great?
to the community for budgeting. So, I mean, that's
That's
just
great.
one step closer for them.
Sure it
to
is.
see. So,
Mhm. We always sometimes, I think, assume that everybody knows how to budget,
exactly.
but they don't always,
No.
or how to, do a checkbook or a debit card.
Right.
I think sometimes we just make those assumptions and we're wrong.
Oh, exactly.
And we need to
Exactly.
just start back with zero and say, hey, if you don't know how to do it, we'll learn.
Right, exactly. And just being able to, we had one individual that came in, actually, he just came in, needed help with his phone.
Uh-huh.
And we started talking, and I was just like, oh no, come in my office. And getting to know him some more, I found out he had some literacy issues.
Okay.
And And so I contacted the college, and they told me, yeah, have him come out. We'll test him, and he's been taking literacy classes since last year. So, yeah, it's amazing on how the community just joins together.
Isn't it?
Mhm.
We're you know, I've talked about that a million times. We all just wrap our arms around and help.
Exactly.
And we don't all have to do everything, like you say. You know, one person, you know, one organization helps with this, and one with this, and one with
Right.
this, and one with this. But together,
Exactly.
as a group, our community really can
Oh, yeah.
make a difference.
Oh, yeah.
And wants to.
Exactly.
And I think that's even the bigger part, is
Yeah.
that the people of our community want to help each other.
Oh, yeah, definitely.
And we want each one of us to succeed.
Exactly.
Because if we leave anybody behind, it impacts us all.
Oh, yeah, definitely.
How many people do you see at a time? Do you have a caseload that's a whole bunch of people going at one time, or do you do just one at a time? And
No, actually, sometimes they'll just be walk-ins, and
Sure.
they'll start with Sissy first, and
Uh-huh.
then Sissy will go, this might be one for Mary. And so it varies on the times and the days. I work according to what the client needs.
Oh, sure.
So if I have to adjust my hours, let's say they do have a job and
Uh-huh.
they don't get off till 4.
Uh-huh.
Okay, well, I'll rearrange my schedule.
And meet with them after
Meet
4.
with them at 4,
That's
after
great.
4, because they're at least doing one thing, and that's working.
You bet.
You know, I mean,
Uh-huh.
they may be struggling, but how are they going to know if I can't meet with them?
Sure, sure.
So, and they can't take time off from work.
No, you don't want them to do that.
So to
No.
me, it's like, let me adjust my time,
Sure.
and I'll be here for you. And they enjoyed that part, to know that, okay, you are walking with me. You are going to work around everything.
Uh-huh.
So it just depends. Sometimes I can possibly get four people a day, and it ranges. In the first meeting, it's like an hour to 2 hours. But
Uh-huh.
like I said, it just depends on what they want to.
That sounds like a lot.
Yeah, what they want
Yeah.
to talk about. I
Oh,
mean,
sure.
It's entirely up to them.
Everyone must be so different. So there's
Mhm.
no 8 classes and you're graduated type deal.
Right,
Oh no.
no, no.
It's whatever their needs are.
Yeah, yeah, and it's usually, we have it for a year process.
Uh-huh.
And then I try and meet with them or call them weekly, see how they're doing. If they need anything. Sometimes I get a little busy. I can't do that. But it's more of just seeing them, how they're doing. And even if they run into something, they're calling me or they're coming in. But after I start seeing how they're doing and they start meeting their goals, it's up to them if they want to reach more of the goals. If they want to add more, like I have one client's ready to graduate. She
Uh-huh.
is ready to graduate. And I told her, and she's like, no.
She doesn't want to leave.
She doesn't want to leave. She feels that this program is holding her accountable.
Okay.
So I'm like,
And she should know.
yeah. So I'm like, okay, well, I'll keep you on still.
Okay.
And so when they're ready to graduate, when they hit most of their goals, and
Uh-huh.
I see that they're ready, they can, I guess, they earn their wings and their
Oh, how nice.
they graduate from our program, and then
Uh-huh.
we'll have a little celebration for them. And then I will meet with them 30, 60, and 90 days after that.
Okay, so you
So-
don't just cut them loose.
No,
Okay.
no, not at all. I'll meet with them 30, 60, and 90 days afterwards, just to see how they're doing.
Uh-huh.
And I know some of their mouths were like, and it's, yeah, what?
Yeah.
No, don't let go of me.
Yes, I bet.
And it's just like, you're doing fantastic, but I'm right there. All you gotta do is call.
That's so
Stop
great.
in.
Just a friend.
Yeah. So
What a wonderful program, Mary. How long have you guys been doing this?
it's actually been going for quite a while. I don't know how many
Uh-huh.
years prior. Sissy was
Seems like 4?
I think I wanna
Something
say-
like that,
yeah,
when I first
yeah.
remember Sissy talking about
Right, right.
it. How, is it at other Salvation Armies too?
Yeah, it's
That's
it's at the other
great.
Salvation Armies. So let's say I have a client that furthers more and goes to college
Uh-huh.
to Iowa City. Well, I can contact the Salvation Army and let them know,
How
hey, you're
nice.
going to have a client that's transferring over. So we're able to transfer.
That's
people
great
on.
for
Yes.
continuity for
Oh,
them.
yes.
Oh, that's wonderful.
Yeah, so just so they know they're still not alone.
Sure.
Especially going to a college.
Yes.
And not knowing anybody moving there.
Sure.
So at least they're just
great.
moving from one person to another. And,
Sure.
And you're going to have that person walking along with them.
That's great.
Yeah.
So this is funded through Salvation Army. They don't
Yes.
pay for this service. I'm assuming that all the money that Salvation Army gets in, like through their Red Kettle even, goes to their programs.
Exactly.
To support things like this.
Exactly.
And how wonderful for the people of Muscatine to know that the money that they donate through the Red Kettle campaign supports programs like this to
Oh, definitely.
lift people up.
Yeah, and especially, I mean, even, I know we have the food pantry, but even like diapers,
Uh-huh.
shampoo, all those
Personal
kinds-
hygiene
personal hygiene,
products. Mhm.
anything like that. I mean, we take donations of that, and it's
So we
for-
can all just drop stuff off
Oh,
anytime?
yeah,
Oh, that's
yeah.
good to know.
Yeah, because when they're starting out on their own, they don't have anything.
Oh, no. And that
So-
stuff isn't cheap.
No,
I mean,
not at
if
all.
you go to the store to buy your paper products and personal hygiene products, that can really add up, and we don't want them to spend their money on those things.
Exactly.
We want them to spend them on their rent and their
Right,
utilities
right,
and things
exactly,
like that. So if
exactly.
we can
So-
help with those things, that's a big deal.
Exactly, exactly. So, yeah, all the funding is with the Salvation Army.
That's
and
great.
then, so I just look and see what they need, and we go from there. And
What a wonderful program.
yeah,
Yes.
I really enjoy it.
You've got a nice job.
Yeah.
What a wonderful job. I bet there's a lot of people that would love to be able to do that, and how rewarding.
You know, to end that is when I talk to a client, and then I can share with them.
Uh-huh.
Do you know where you're at? That's where I was.
Yep.
And look where I'm at now.
Yep.
So
And you can
never
do the
give up
same
hope.
thing. That's
Yep.
right.
So I tell them, never give up hope, because I wasn't thinking of this. You know, I was thinking I was going just to retire, stay
Mhm.
home, and here I am, and
On the pathway to hope.
on the pathway to hope.
That's
Yeah.
so amazing. Well,
Mhm.
thank you, Mary,
Thank
so
you.
much. So if anybody is interested in this program, they can just call Salvation Army.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes,
To-
yeah.
Is it 7292?
No, 263-8272.
8272. I was close with the twos.
Right.
263-8272.
Right, 8272.
And then also, don't you serve lunch there?
Yes, Monday, Wednesdays, and Fridays
Okay.
from 11:30 to 12:30.
All right. And then church on Sundays.
Church on Sunday, Bible study at 10.
Uh-huh.
11 o'clock is church service.
Uh-huh.
And if they want to come for breakfast, it's 9 o'clock in the morning.
Oh, they have breakfast on
They have
Sunday?
breakfast on Sunday.
Oh my goodness. Well, you could just live down there.
Yeah, and then we also have the after-school program.
Oh,
so
yes. That's a wonderful
We
program.
have all kinds of
Yes,
programs.
you do.
Just call and just say,
That's
hey,
right.
which one?
Or stop on down, right?
Exactly.
Right.
Exactly.
Well, very good. Is there anything I left out, Mary?
I don't think so.
We've talked about it all?
Mhm.
All right. Any questions?
No.
Just call Salvation
Yeah,
Army.
Exactly.
All right.
Exactly.
Well, if you'll sit tight, Mary, I'm going to close us out tonight with just a couple of save the date things.
Okay.
We have some good things coming up. And first of all, I'd just like to share our city guests next week. We have Jackie McCoy, and she's with Goodwill of the Heartland, the Helms Career Center. And we still have a question mark by our other guest. We had a switch-o change-o going on, so I'm just going to hold off on that, and we'll just let it be a surprise. So I wanted to also share, Coffee with the Mayor is this coming Saturday, February 23rd at 9 a.m. at Happy Joe's. I hope you can join us there. And we'll be just right over in the side room at Happy Joe's. Come on and ask questions and talk and grab a cup of coffee, and we'll just sit and visit. I wanted to also remind you all, because it's going to be happening before our next Our City show. So February 25th, Monday, is Alexander Clark day. And most of you know Alexander Clark is actually, he's the guy who sued the Muscatine School Board so that his daughter Susan could go to school. And he actually started the movement for equality in school systems. And so we celebrate Alexander Clark, and we actually signed a proclamation last year to make, I still want to be October, February 25th, every year, Alexander Clark Day. And because of that, we have several different things coming up that we wanted to share with you. On Sunday, February 24th, we are dedicating the Alexander Clark Room at the Merrill Hotel and Conference Center. That is 2 o'clock on Sunday. And then Monday at 7 o'clock, we're all going to MCC. There's going to be an Alexander Clark lecture series at 7 o'clock. And then on Thursday, February 28th, at the Art Center is Alexander Clark Genealogy and Early Life. Now keep in mind the Alexander Clark exhibit that's on view at the Muscatine Arts Center. It has been there for a couple months. The last day to see that is February 28th. So if you can all get out there and celebrate this very prominent citizen of Muscatine, Iowa, we're very proud to have his legacy be here with us. Next, I just wanted to share, the Art Center has a couple things going on. So one is the Kirk Hovenga. If I said that correctly, I'll be lucky. So he has done several different things on Iowa landscapes that are really gorgeous. You might want to get out January 17th through March 24th, and then that will be leaving, but it's all Iowa landscapes, gorgeous. And then lastly, I would like to share with you a unique opportunity, February 21st, for a behind-the-scenes tour. So the Art Center, you know, they have a ton of things, and everything isn't out all at once. So a lot of things are back in storage, then they pull some out. Only a small percentage is actually seen. But on Thursday, February 21st, the Art Center is going to do some behind-the-scenes tours for anybody wanting to see their storage area and how they document and hold all of the pieces that they have, how they care for the collections. It's going to be the tour from 5:15 to 6:45. They only have space for 15 people, so call, get a registration, and come on in, first come, first serve. And it's going to be a neat opportunity to go through and see some of the cool stuff that they have there at the library or at the Art Center. I can't really talk much tonight. So, thank you so much for joining us on Our City tonight. We have had a really good time. We got to visit with Assistant Fire Chief Mike Hartman and now with Mary Darnell of Salvation Army and learn the wonderful things that's happening right here in our city. We hope you have a great week. Survive the snowstorm that's coming tonight, and join us back here next week on Our City. Thanks so much. Good evening.
Our City with Mayor Diana Brodersen replays on MPW Channel 9, Wednesday at 2 p.m. and 7 p.m. and Thursday at 7 a.m. Of course, we're live every Tuesday at 6:30 p.m. on Facebook. Email us at ourcity@muscatineiowa.gov.